Hello everybody, welcome back to Commonwealth Flipper. I just got back from a sourcing trip. Me and Turner got to go with my dad. It was kind of fun. And while we were away, well, we were actually driving at the time, a little event happened. And hold on, I gotta shut this door. I just had to knock down a wasp nest, and now the wasps want to get in there. It's a little cooler, I guess. I don't know. And I posted something on Facebook, and boy, there's a lot of people who didn't like it, but this is something that happens fairly often. The dogs are waiting here for me. They've missed me too. What are y'all looking at? Something must be back there because they're not following me. And we had some sales that a lot of people didn't like. And so we're going to show you those today and a bunch of other stuff. It's going to be fun. Let's go take a look. No, you're not seeing things. They didn't beat me in here. I actually went inside, went to the restroom. And they were waiting at the door. All right, I gotta turn that off so you don't yell at me for the audio. This is, I tell you what, these CDs, y'all. This Shop Commons buy has turned out to be amazing. Better than I thought even. I mean, way better than I thought, and I knew we'd make money. Gwar, I owe this a little bit to Rod Picking and Punching. There was a bunch of CDs that we were in a house picking, and we both saw the CDs, but there was so much other stuff to look at that I didn't want to look at the CDs, and he did. Because, you know, CDs are hit and miss, and it just happened to be a bunch of rock CDs and a bunch of weird stuff, weird to me, not weird to some of you, and stuff I never heard of before, and he's like, no, you got to look for these, and one of those was Gwar, and so here we go. When I saw those in that lot, I'm like, I want that lot, and I got it. And we're doing well on it. That one alone, this one, we're already well in the profit. But if I wasn't in the profit for this big CD buy, this one would have put me there all by itself. Sold for $89.95 plus shipping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 CDs. Not bad. I'm going to grab one more, and then we're going to get to the controversial items. And no, it's not a Trump ad. No. And I didn't think it was controversial. My post at all was controversial. I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, man, some people are hot right here. And it's something I want to bring up because it is relevant to resellers in many ways. All right, they were sitting right here. Somebody's been in here. The littles. Y'all, do you remember the littles sitting right here? Where the heck is the little gone? Somebody's been in my shit. Oh, there you go. Somebody has changed things, though. Maybe it was me. I'm blaming Blue Ridge Mom was in trouble and she probably didn't do anything. And then Jess hadn't been here. She's been gone for a while. So I've been gone for a while. The Littles. Daphne. This isn't even the right one. I don't think. Hold on a minute. Let me find the right one. Yep, this is not the correct one. Actually, this one sold too. Huh. $39.95 plus shipping for this one. The Littles are pretty cool. I saw these in a box at a sale. And this is the sale that I almost didn't go to because I knew if I went to it on the way to my boys' game, I might miss the first half inning, which I did. But I didn't miss him batting. I knew they were the home team. So anyway, that one right there is a pretty good little sale. I don't remember what I paid for all of them. I bought a bunch of them, but I think it was right around this amount right here. So we got our money back out of that one. I love those kind of sales. You buy a ton of stuff and you know you can get your money back on 1 or 2 sales. $39.95 plus shipping for that one. All right, a little truth in advertising here before we get going into this, because I'm going to pull the item that sparked it, because this is what was on the post that I put on Facebook. But this video is coming out a little bit later. I was gone and leaving again for a couple days, and I filmed a little extra so I could have time when I was gone next time. Anyway, long story short, not that you care, this video got delayed. I was going to put this video out much sooner, but we've delayed this one, and so it's going in a little bit later, but I think you get the point, right? It happens in YouTube stuff. So I like to be a little bit up to date, you know, a day or 2 or 3 off isn't the end of the world. This one's a little off, y'all. So let's see here. I might have to, some of the stuff in here I don't want to mess up doing with one hand, and there's some heavy stuff, so I'm going to put the camera down for a second. All right, I am glad that I did that because it was way down at the bottom. I would have not been able to do it with one hand. All right, this is the item, not alone, there's more of this stuff, I'll show you in a minute, that sparked it. And then I'll read my post and read some of the comments and then get your input on it. This I picked up in Florida. I picked it up at the Browns when I was down there visiting Dave. and Carrie and Rod and all those guys picking Paradise was down there that day. And you see that right there? There's a signature on there as well. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get this. I paid up for it, like 20 bucks, I think. And it had a little insert program to it. It's nostalgic to me, and that's kind of the story here today. Keeping the faith, Hulk Hogan. And sure enough, when I heard that news the other day, I was driving with my dad. That's why my dad drives a lot. It's hard to keep up with social media if you're driving hours away and then picking and then driving hours back and spending the night in hotels, stuff like that. My dad likes to go with me. Thank you, Pop. And Turner wanted to go with us. I'm like, this is awesome. Me and my dad and him and his dad, I'm like, this is cool. And I was on Instagram posting something, and I saw, oh my goodness, Hogan died. And I just immediately thought of when I was a kid. I thought of me and my brother and my buddy Daryl and all the other ancillary friends that were in and out of the neighborhood. People moved in and out all the time. And I thought of getting on our bikes and riding down Ukaipa Boulevard, going to the video store and renting the new whatever wrestling movie. This is like mid-'80s, y'all. Movie that came out, and begging, you know, my mom to give us $1 or $2 or whatever, and she never would. She's like, not for that stuff. You can get, you know, whatever movie, but not for that. She didn't like it as much. And so we go out and find cans all over the place and take them and get recycled, get enough money to do that. And so I immediately sent a message to my brother and his buddy. I'm like, dude, Hogan just died. It wasn't about Hogan, y'all. It was about me. It was about my childhood. It was about my buddies. And about the memories, and I just thought I'd put a little post on there, so I did. I just turned on Facebook, and the first thing popped up was somebody else who had a Hogan post. I'll tell you about my post first, and then I'll I'll tell you what, let me give you a little bit more context here. So, I was with my dad. I remember growing up, my dad's the one that got us into watching wrestling because he just thought it was hilarious. He didn't really care about any of it. He just thought it was funny. And me and my brother were just big into it. It was perfect timing. We were little kids. WrestleMania 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm really not into wrestling anymore at all. It just was super nostalgic for us. It was like that and E.T. and, you know, Return of the Jedi, Goonies for me. There was a few more. I mean, there were, you know, obviously He-Man on cartoons, and then Thundercats right afterwards and that stuff. That was just super nostalgic for me. I remember we didn't have much money. I've told this before. And we didn't go to many different... We went to Angel Games all the time. But, you know, all my uncles and stuff. But we didn't have much money to do much else. And my dad bought us tickets to go to San Bernardino, whatever building it was. And we went and saw WWF. Hogan wasn't there, but I remember that so fondly even to this day. I mean, look at my shirt, right? That's why I have this over here. Not the Hogan. The Cyndi Lauper. Right there, Cyndi Lauper. That brings back those memories too. Captain Lou Albano, I wear those shirts. And so, of course, I texted my brother and whatever. And I just made a little post right there in the car. And I thought, well, you know, we got to make this a reselling channel. I don't want to make it about, you know, wrestling, because it's not what it's about. And I just said, hey, goodbye to a legend. My brother and I were exchanging messages today. And then I talked about what I just talked about earlier. And I went into some other stuff. I said, I remember going to visit my grandparents in Chandler, Arizona. And my mom, probably to get us out of the house because we were driving everybody nuts, took us to Toys R Us. And when we went to Toys R Us, we usually had to pay for stuff. They weren't going to buy stuff if it wasn't Christmas. But I remember we had some money. Me and my brother had some money. It must have been right after Christmas. We had some money saved up. And my mom chipped in and got us the LJ and wrestling ring and all the figures. I was with my dad when I heard the news. I said it won't be long. And so this is the reselling part I put in. I said, it won't be long before this sells today. And I showed him a picture of that program. I said, it's going to sell today. And he said, you think? I said, I bet it does. And of course, it wasn't the only thing either. It was this. This sold to, this actually went to a viewer. They knew I had it listed. They've been watching it for a long time, they said, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to get it today. But this little Hulkamania keychain sold as well, Titan Sports, I imagine. And that one sold for $12.95, I think, plus shipping. Dallas is the person who bought these. He sent me a nice message as well. He's about the same age I am, so he has those same memories, I imagine. And those sold. By the way, I also got this on Shop Commons, so Shop Commons is paying off today. Now, I can't say that I've ever bought something waiting for somebody to die. I do know people, however, who have done exactly that. I guess my mind doesn't work that way, but I can tell you that I have bought things and listed things, and things sell. I remember I did a Facebook post of a Pee Wee Herman item that sold, or something, I can't remember, it's been a while. And it was, of course, right after he passed. And boy, I got slammed in there, like profiting off the death of somebody and whatever. I'm like, what do you want me to do? You want me to delist everything? Pete Rose stuff sold. I think I sold a Pete Rose things when he died as well. I mean, this stuff happens, right? I don't see it as bad in any way. I wouldn't see it as bad. I was looking for Hulk Hogan stuff out there that day. I mean, come on, folks. Do we really think that somebody else isn't going... This is the way I view it. I view what I do as passing along things that make other people happy, and I'm making a profit off of it. If somebody passes away, somebody passes away. I don't have a litmus test for most stuff that I sell. I've talked about some of the things in the past that I typically don't sell and why I don't do it, but I don't, I'm not going to sit here and berate somebody on Facebook if they've made a post that is relevant to reselling. But my post wasn't even about reselling. I just wanted to throw a little something in that made the point about reselling. This is what happens, y'all. If somebody dies or some major event happens, stuff sells. The OJ stuff, that stuff was selling like crazy. I'm scrolling up through my feed here, and I see 2 sales coming back to back. Listen to this. Juice WRLD, and of course he passed. Well, that was a long time ago. And a Tupac sale. That'll be on the next video because they just sold. Y'all see something out there? Anyway, the comment section blew up pretty quickly, and then 2 more of these sold right after that. I don't know who they're to necessarily, but $12.95 and $12.95. Don't have a ton of them, but I don't know how long they'll last. Usually when this kind of stuff happens, it dies out pretty quick. So the first wave of criticism was like, how, the whole, look, y'all, Facebook is a different world. TikTok's a different world. And that's why I love this channel so much, because we're resellers. At least we have that in common, no matter if we have differences. So the first wave was, resellers are awful and what a despicable person you are. And talking about me, the Hulk Hogan despicable stuff came later, which I kind of figured that would be. But my post was about me. It was about my childhood. I never made statements like, I guess I did say he was a legend, which he undoubtedly is. That doesn't mean he's my hero. It doesn't mean I mean, look, if I'm looking for sage philosophical advice, I'm not looking to people on this t-shirt, for goodness sake. Nowhere near it. My heroes are people you wouldn't even know for the most part. I mean, let's face it, right? I mean, when you're a kid, you look up to different people and whatever. Rowdy Roddy was my favorite anyways. But I was like, it was just fond memories of my childhood. And that's what people are looking for most of the time. I doubt there's very many people who think, that Hulk Hogan was the most respected person and I lived to be like Hulk. That just stuff doesn't happen. That stuff came later. But the early stuff about resellers being awful, listen. Look last week, right? The Gen Xers, Theo Huxtable and then Ozzy and then Hogan and then all that stuff. That brings back those memories. It evokes emotion in us from our childhood. And y'all can tell me if I'm wrong, but I view myself as a memory seller, a nostalgia seller. I sell people's memories back to them. I also sell necessities, which is cool. I can't imagine, is there anybody out there who took an item down off of eBay after somebody passed away? I just can't see it. I don't think it's disrespectful at all. I think it's, in some ways, forget what you think about Hulk Hogan. There's a lot of people that don't like him. Let's face it, he's not exactly a saint by any stretch of that. I don't look for parental advice on how to parent my kids from Hulk Hogan. But I have exactly 0 problem selling stuff from people that have just passed away. I don't know. I didn't jack the price up. I probably could have. There's probably a lot of people out there who do exactly that. I have not done that. Let me know if you have. Because let me tell you, that stuff sold like crazy that day and still now. So here we go. Look, more of it, right? 3 of these sold. NWO Hogan right here. This sold as well. And so these were headed out the door. It was a Hogan kind of day. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sales, and I think more have come in lately. It'll probably be on the next video. By the way, this one didn't sell right here. It's because it's not for sale. It was a gift from Rod Picking and Punching. I'm sorry, but I gotta show you these dogs here. They like to lay on this floor because it's been so hot. I'm glad they are, because Blue Ridge Mom and my daughter are leaving and they'd be out there barking and be upset at them. Murray, he says, love the channel. Small reseller myself, but trying to grow. I had to grab this kit. As I say, rest in peace to the Hulkster. Thanks for the content and keep it coming. God bless. Murray, a.k.a. the Resell Redneck. Awesome. So you got a discount. See, it was on 30% discount. See, I didn't change the prices. Is it okay? Would it be okay to change the prices? I think so. You change the prices to meet the market prices. I don't have a problem with that. I didn't do that because I wanted to sell this stuff because a lot of it's been listed for a while. But did any of you out there do it? And the comments just kept coming and people started fighting, and I did delete quite a few of them just because it started to get... There were names in there I recognized of people that follow me and they were getting torched and vice versa. People that like to troll me on there. I'm trying to find... There they are right here. This was a good buy, y'all. We've been selling these fairly quickly. Goldwell, Carasilk. Bought this at a really high-priced yard sale, but these weren't high-priced. $21 plus shipping for that one. I think they had $2 on them. I looked at them like, that looks like it'll sell. And, you know, you got to check expiration dates and stuff like that. I don't know if this one had it or not, but I was like, how about $1 for all of them? And I got in the car and looked them up while my dad was driving away. He's like, yeah. I told him, I said, oh, it was good. I didn't know it was quite that good, but I'll take it. $1 into 21 plus shipping multiple times. Definitely good. I might not read all these, but, you know, it got into the whole, you know, it was funny. One person commented, you know, I follow you, but this is in poor taste because he just died. I'm like, okay. Me and 8 million other people and everybody who responds because this stuff's everywhere, right? And I thought to myself, man, nobody said a word to me. I sold an O.J. Simpson jersey last year, and there was zero criticism whatsoever, which I thought was a little bit odd. And another person said, hey, you know, I follow you. I've been following you for years. But the fact that you would, you know, look up to this guy as your hero, which I never said, ever. He's not my hero. It's my childhood. This was about us. All this stuff is about us. It's not about any of it. I honestly believe that. It really, truly is about us remembering things that we thoroughly enjoyed. I mean, like I said, I got the same kind of emotions when I watched, you know, Hogan do his shake thing and win and whatever. He's a character. Much the same way that He-Man was a character to me. You know, I have the power. You know, I would imitate He-Man out there as much as I would imitate Hulk Hogan, or I'd imitate, you know, the Thundercats or whatever it was. All right, the next thing that sold, I think, is out in the other shed. Just listed it, and it sold pretty quick. You got up fast, boys. It took off running. It's going to rain out here. Lots of clouds. I got spider webs on my hand. Anyway, that one commenter is like, you know, I've watched you. I think it was a he now that I look back at it. I'm not positive, but, you know, I've watched you forever. But the fact that this guy would be your hero and you'd make a post like this, I'm like, I don't even know if I responded to this one. I'm like, well, honestly, I think you're full of baloney because that giant Hulk Hogan thing's been sitting in that shed for years and you still watched. So, at any rate, Pantera, y'all. This one right here sold 5 of them, right? Yep. By the way, since we're in here, this is the haul this week, and you'll be seeing a lot of that stuff coming out soon. I will just set this down right here because it's so nice and cool in here. I might even take a couple pictures before I head back in there. This one didn't sell for as much as the Gwar, but hey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 CDs, $22.95 plus shipping. Honestly, I'm trying not to get sidetracked on this topic. I'm so intrigued. I always have been intrigued with human nature. I went and said goodbye to my wife and kids. They're going up to the lake for a dinner with one of her friends while I gotta work. So, but I remember Pee Wee Herman, y'all. I picked up Pee Wee Herman stuff just a few weeks back and put it on a video. Nobody said a word about it. I'm like, this guy's not a paragon of virtue out there. Most of these folks aren't. Matter of fact, I would make an argument that none of us really are. There's you know, good people, okay people, great people, whatever, but it's all relative. We all have the same foibles, the same flaws. I'm typically not very critical of people. I mean, I'll say the truth about stuff. And there's plenty of stuff for somebody like Terry Bollea here that you could say he wasn't the best person his whole life. I think he would probably say that himself. He's, you know, like I said, I wouldn't go for parental advice, for spiritual advice, for whatever, from almost anybody who's in this room in an action figure in any way. But my goodness, can we not enjoy our past? Because, I mean, look, I'm sure Breathless Mahoney will sell wonderfully the day when it comes when Madonna passes away. Well, I probably shouldn't say that either. You know, I don't think it'll be anytime soon. So I got to find a banner right here. There's another good example right there. Tiger Woods was, you know, he was growing up in Southern California when I was. He's not exactly, you know, what I would, the kind of behavior I'd hope Turner to grow up and act like. But 2019, he won the Masters. That's a great flag to buy. And I bought it, for sure. Here's the banner. This one, I haven't bought many banners lately, y'all. They've been slow sellers for me lately. And so I've stopped. They never were big sellers, but I'd pick them up for $1. This one sold because it was on 30% off discount for $7 plus shipping. I did buy 2 banners this weekend because that bin used to be stacked to the top of that thing. I'm like, yeah, I can probably fit 2 banners in there. So I allowed myself to pick up a couple for $1. Pumpkin, y'all, fall is coming. Crazy how fast it's coming. Get your Halloween stuff listed. Get your jackets listed. Get your jeans listed. All that stuff is going to start to sell super quick, if not already. Made me think of another, you know, Bill Cosby, right? I remember we had a blind babysitter growing up. She actually lived with us because it was easier for her. She was in our church, and my mom took her in a few days a week because she went to the blind school. And where she lived, they wouldn't pick her up to take her, or something like that. I can't remember. So she lived with us a few days a week, and she was our babysitter when my parents would go out, and she was blind. So I won't tell you, we were nice to her, but we took advantage of the situation, let's just say. That was the 80s, y'all. Boy, I remember, see, look, I'm going down telling stories. We would drive all over town on our bikes, ride all over town on our bikes. We would walk home from school. I remember we would walk home from school and we would go to the carpet store and get all the foam padding and stuff they put under carpet or under, you know, under household rugs or whatever. We'd get all the remnants out, and we'd bring them home every day and stack them on this little 2x4 ring that we built. So we'd have padding so we could jump, and, you know, it would have a little bounce to it. And I remember doing that stuff all the time. The 80s were I wish my kids could have grown up in the 80s and survived. I'm surprised we did. I bet you guys could tell those stories too. And we'd do it every day, and then we'd go wrestle, and it's like, oh, it's still tough. We get more and more. We had padding stacked up like 17 inches tall so we could suplex each other or whatever. The good old days. But back to my blind babysitter. She loved The Cosby Show. And I loved watching her watch The Cosby Show. And she wasn't watching it. She was blind. But it was such a good show, and the different characters and the voices, and she was blind and she loved it. And I'm like, man, to erase that because of some despicable acts of some people, that doesn't hurt those people. It hurt, well, it could, I suppose, if they're gaining revenue from it or whatever. But for the most part, it hurts us. And the same thing. Am I not supposed to like Naked Gun because of OJ? I mean, I don't take life advice and life wisdom or who I should vote for from, you know, the Material Girl or the Hulkster. It's just crazy. I guess it's crazy to me that people think like that out there. But maybe I'm in the minority. I don't know. It was interesting to see how many people posted, hey, you know, look, this just sold for me too. This just sold for me too. It's just part of our world we live in. Talk about good CDs. This is a Slipknot CD. And this one was really good. It sold for $69.95 plus shipping. It's a first pressing of it. And so just like, you know, VHS or just like whatever else, records and everything, CDs, y'all. CDs are not dead. I'm happy to report. I mean, that's pretty dang good. What did I say that one went for? $89.95 for that one, $22.95 for this one, or $22 for this one. So you're already sitting at over 100, so that's $170 plus ship. Wait a minute, what did I say that sold for? $69.95? Holy moly. So 112 plus 70 is $182 plus shipping. Now most CDs are worthless, but man, this is going to get me to look in those bins for more than just Taylor Swift. I actually just think it's part of our, people are different, right? And people who are listening to this are different as well. And I respect that. Nobody's got to think any way that I do or anybody else does about a certain person. But I just have this... I've always separated, you know, fiction from reality, I guess you should say. And that's the way I view a lot of these major like Elvis, right? Did anybody really know Elvis kind of thing? And it's interesting to dig into those things. But these people are like bigger than life itself, it seems. And they take on a persona that is much bigger than who they actually are as people. And I just disregard a lot of it, to be honest. Maybe that's where I am a little different. I'm also pretty forgiving of people because I know how I am. You know, there's plenty of things I have done in my life that I'm just not proud of. I can remember one thing to this day. I'm not going to repeat it because I look like an idiot. But I remember something that I said to somebody. And as soon as I said it, I'm like, I can't believe that came out of my mouth. I was young. I was really young. This is a little die-cast metal, just like the other one. But this one's a kitchen set. And this one went really well. Look at the original prices on that. It was like $2 on that thing. Probably on clearance. This one sold for $60 plus shipping. There's not much here, y'all, but there's some decent money right here so far. I guess it's story time in the Commonwealth cabin. I'll just dive into it and we'll do the rest of these sales here. We were traveling back. I was with a buddy of mine, and that's another story entirely, that I was friends with since we were little. Like when I was talking about the wrestling era. And I knew this kid for a long, long time. Anyway, we drove back from Virginia when I was in college to California. We were broke. Little beat-up pickup truck. We couldn't even afford a hotel, so we just drove straight. We didn't stop. Lots of Mountain Dew. That was a rough trip. And then I got to meet up with my old friends. In this case, they were friends from like the 9th grade. We all got together. Everybody come back from college, and we went out to Denny's or something. And I said something, and it was to everybody. And it really, really affected the girl sitting next to me. I'm not going to say what it was. But as soon as I said it, I thought, oh my gosh, what an idiot. Why would I say something? It wasn't directed at her. But everybody looked at me like, what? I was like, oh my gosh. And I remember that to this day. And it was an awful thing to say. And of course, I apologized and whatever. And she forgave me and whatever. It wasn't that big of a deal. But imagine if we don't extend the grace to people. And I'm not saying anybody deserves grace or whatever. It's just, that's just not how I am. I mean, I've alluded to this in the past, at least alluded to 2 of them, but there were 3 events in my life that really, it just knocked me down to my knees. If I talked about them, I'd break down. And they were perpetrated on me, I guess is the way to say it. And it was devastating. It caused me to rebuild my life at different times because of these events. And I can honestly tell you that I would sit down with all 3 of those different people and have a conversation with them. I'm not going to let somebody else's actions dictate mine. And I guess that's the way I think about it with all these things. I'm not going to let the actions of somebody rob me of something that I enjoyed, no matter who the character is. And the memories I had with my friends, with my brother, when I was a kid, I'm not going to do it. But a lot of people are certainly willing to do that. And I'm not going to read through these comments, but it was really fun to reminisce with some folks and to just see the just crazy comments on there. And some of them are legitimate, right? It's like, hey, this guy said this and whatever. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I can still enjoy that part of my childhood. And you can't take it away from me. Honestly, it's kind of how I feel about some of that Black Americana stuff, too. It's like, who am I to... Maybe there's some young African-American girl out there that's, you know, I don't know, maybe her grandma had that stuff or something. Who am I to tell people? Now, I mean, obviously, platforms can do what they want. I'm not complaining about that. But it's like, we have individual autonomy to make those moral decisions for ourselves. And that may be a little bit more of a touchy issue, of course. This is a sweet one. This is actually not damn, I don't think. Or is it? I don't think it is. I think it's got a different printing on it. And it's 1960s, the royalty of Florida. So this is not made in Denmark. It's made in Florida. Pretty good shape, though. This one doesn't carry quite the value as the other ones did. But it sold for $29.95 plus shipping. Pretty cool little piece. And we left a spot. I liked him up there. So I'll have to find something else. So I'll just say this. When I'm gone, someday it'll happen. It happens to all of us. That's part of this, right? You know, somebody dies that, you know, when you were a kid, they were up on some pedestal or something that you really enjoyed, you know, and it's like they're gone. It makes you reflective of, hey, this time we have here it's not forever. And it makes me think about my kids, and every time Turner asks me to go play catch or something, it's like, yeah, I'm going to do it, right? To heck with selling Pantera CDs. I'm playing catch, boy. But I hope, you know, maybe when you hear that someday, you're like, oh, yeah, I remember that guy. I watched him on YouTube. Maybe you'll go and buy an Animan off of, and then send a nice message to my kids on a social media platform or something. Maybe some people will say, but he sold a Hulk Hogan doll back then, so I'm not saying anything nice about him. Or Roddy was actually my favorite back then. And Superfly Snooker right here. That guy right there. And talk about a guy that isn't... That guy was accused. He lost a civil suit for murder, and he was accused of murder as well. And I got him on my t-shirt, so sorry. I got to read something really quick. Thank you so much, Kevin. I have been really excited about what you're bringing in for inventory. I know, Paul, thank you very much. It's Paul's wife, actually. Julie, there you go, who bought that troll doll. So I think you bought the other ones as well. And let's see what else. I'm addicted to collecting trolls. I think I might be all out. I really enjoy both your channels and have been learning something new every day. Julie, I appreciate it very much. My dad just came over to mow. He said it's cooled off enough. Really nice of him, as always. And now the puppies are in here fighting. Y'all don't see me buy Longaberger very often, but it's because people value it who have bought it, and they don't give it away very cheap. And really, the prices aren't insane for a lot of it on eBay. Like, for instance, this one sold for 20 bucks. 20 bucks plus shipping. And a lot of them are bigger and they're harder. I like to do the big picnic baskets because they can bring like 50 bucks. And y'all are crazy. Anyway, I bought a bunch a few weeks back, and it's been selling okay so far. So I'm pretty happy. It's encouraging me. Maybe the next time I come across a big deal of it where I'm getting it cheap, I'll do it again. All right, my dad's mowing out in the backyard, so it gets a little loud when it gets near here. So I think I've got everything that I have to ship out today, plus a few more. So I'm probably going to call it a day, but let me know where you're at on this situation. I don't know. Personally, I certainly hope when I'm gone someday and my kids are all sitting around sad, now hopefully they're sad, you know, they don't bring up the time that Dad yelled at them, or they don't bring up the time that he said something he shouldn't have said, or did something he shouldn't have done, because we all do it. And I'm not saying that it's equitable to some of the things that some of these folks that I've mentioned. It's not. I'm not trying to put those on the level playing field. But for me, the only thing that's really unforgivable is just giving up and not trying to make yourself a better person. And there are a lot of folks out there who have done that. And they are despicable from the beginning and never even recognize it. And that's not really what I'm talking about. But I don't know. I just certainly hope my kids remember the good times and the good things, just like I will when my pop who's out there mowing that grass is gone someday. So anyway, let me know what you'll sell, what you won't sell, or if you pulled something down off of eBay because somebody died and you don't want to be respectful, or if you're willing to admit it, did you jack the price up on something with somebody who passed away? If you had an Ozzy Osbourne signature out there and you're like, oh, I got to get that off and I got to jack that price up. I didn't do that, but I'm not judging you here. Anyway, thank y'all for joining us, and I can't wait to see you next time.